again. Sorry for the technical difficulties. This is Kodiak, and you're coming to Kingdom of Kodiak, episode 8. And with me today is Sir Alucard Draconis, Paragon Archer. Thank you for joining me.
Sure.
So, for anyone who didn't see the technical difficulties, we've already done the bare necessities once, but we're going to do them again for you all. So here we go. Alucard Draconis, where does that come from?
Dracula backwards. I really huge fan of vampires and the book itself, of course, when I was a kid. So well before I ever saw it as Castlevania, I guess. So that's where it came from, back in probably about 91 or so.
Mm-hmm. And Draconis, just the cool add-on?
Sounded good. Sounded good with it. So yeah.
Awesome. How long have you been playing Alucard?
I started playing back in 1990, probably a couple of months after it had first started. I was in high school with Quicksilver, and I didn't go to the con that was in El Paso. It was an Amigo con, and they had gone, saw Alucard in El Paso, brought it back to Las Cruces. So it was really close to kind of graduation time, June, July. I definitely remember like people going to the first clan, that Dragon Spiders could have gone to.
Fantastic. Cool. So you're here as a Paragon Archer. You're here as a knight of the Kingdom of Dragonspine and Alucard across the world. What's your award that you are most proud of?
It's going to be knighthood. Not that there's anything against any of the others, but, and I really think about it, knighthood is more than just one person's opinion. You have to have the backing of several people. And like I said in the earlier when we did this, it's like Sally Field when she received her Oscar. It's like, they like me. They really like me. And
right.
That's the feeling of it, that it's more than just, one individual.
Sure. And then the tie-in question, of course, to that is, of the two, which do you think was the easier to get?
The Paragon.
Right.
Paragon definitely was less time.
Yeah. But well worth it. That's a beautiful sash that you have. So
yeah, well, absolutely, yeah.
All right. So we're here to talk to you about playing Archer, and we're also here for knighthood. But as the Archer part, what's your favorite battle game?
My favorite battle games are probably more open field, more goal-based games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a lot of the nicknames that people use for different types of battle games. Earlier when I'd said was I don't like our salt boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the games that are very small field. They're normally roped in, 20 by 20, 30 by 30, 40 by 40, however big they happen to be. Because when you're using projectiles, especially, arrows or crossbow bolts, you have a much higher chance of them getting broken and also injuring individuals. So that's the ones I don't care for as much. If you're a shield and sword person, they're great, so.
Okay. So not a jugger.
No, I enjoy jugging, but you don't use bow in jugging.
Fair. Okay. I just want to make sure that was up there.
Don't get me wrong. I love jugging. There's actually a game that we played years ago up in Iron Mountains at one of the Rackuses, and the Pegasus Valley team ended up winning, and it was a game of Gauntlet. And it was myself and Glenn Alf and a couple other individuals. And one of the neat things with it was you actually had people, you had the elf with the bow, but they're outside of melee range. So it was kind of like jugging, but you were still able to shoot people. And you still had people with projectiles. And so it's kind of a combination of the two.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So we've talked about your Archer. We've talked about battle games. And we know that you're also a Paragon Scout. But what's your favorite? What's that? Master. Sorry. You're right. Sorry. My apologies. What's your favorite class to play?
Usually it's Monster, because I absolutely love going out as Goblin and just being silly and ridiculous, having lots of fun and role playing. Lately, I've been doing a lot of druid, because I have a build where I have druid with a bow, and it works out really, really well. I guess what some people call it a candy bag druid. So I've got a lot of buffs that I can give my team that just go out and shoot people and have like entangle bolt if I need it.
Right. Plus, druid is the best class, guys. Just putting it out there. No big deal. So we have the two general questions before we actually get into Paragon and Archer. Morgan would like to know, or Morgan did want to know back in the day, and now Morgan is the one tagged with the question every time now. Sir Glenoff is looking for a free toaster.
I think that Steve, his refrigerator, might get jealous.
This is a new twist on the toaster question, folks. There is a refrigerator named Steve, and it might get jealous. Okay. All right. What about your thoughts on bears?
I like bears. I like bears at a distance. They're big and scary, and they move really fast.
Any specific thoughts of there being a multitude of bears in the monarchy this reign coming up?
I think it should be fine. I mean, if I don't want to make sure there's not any bunnies sitting around.
That's fair. It's fair. I get hungry a lot at parks, so all right. So now that we've got those out of the way, let's talk Paragon a little bit, all right? So Morgan, right off the top, he just wants to know if there's any advice for aspiring Archer Paragons, maybe some tips that you could give.
Every opportunity you can, go out there, with your bow, with your crossbow, and just shoot as many people as you can every single weekend, every Saturday or Sunday, whatever day you play, both if you can, just shoot people. That's going to be how you're going to learn the fastest. You're going to learn to aim in front of somebody with our arrows in particular, things like that. So,
right. Okay. All right. It's been a short time because you were Paragoned at mid-range, correct?
Yeah, back in February.
Has that had any effect on your character thus far?
No, and unfortunately, because of the coronavirus, shortly after that, we were kind of done, a month afterwards, and it's been 8 weeks that I've not been able to play Alucard. So,
yeah. Do you see it maybe in the future? The idea of Paragoning in that changing how your character's played a little bit?
Possibly. I was thinking about maybe trying to take Paragon in the direction of knighthood in a certain way, as to where I noticed on one of the questions earlier this week that we'll probably get to here in a bit about taking people who are aspiring. I can't remember how it was phrased. But,
apprentices, I believe, is the word.
Yeah. So maybe that might be something that'd be kind of neat to do with Paragon.
It's actually the next question. Is there anyone locally, maybe, or someone in the kingdom that you see as like someone you'd want to take under your wing and get them working on that orange a little bit?
Not that I've noticed. I mean, every time I see somebody out with a bow, I always kind of keep an eye out to watch them, because the problem is when you're really good with a bow is you kind of forget there's other people with bows. And so I'd really would rather probably be approached by somebody to say, hey, I'm aspiring and I would like some input and or even to become an apprentice. I don't have any issue with people approaching me. I'm not very approachable, I think, though. So those of you who are watching, you've got to make sure and approach me with any questions that you have, because I'm always willing to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that this is a little side story here, but at mid-range, I went out of my way to find you to ask if you needed any help, even though the park itself was not what you were running. You were handling the kitchen for coordination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I know that I went and found you first. I was like, "What do you need?" It's just it's so good. Are you aspiring for any more Paragons?
I'd probably say that right now, within the last few games, my very first class I ever played was healer, because it was pretty much a warrior that can heal themselves. And I've been focusing on it, and it's difficult because of the V8 rules, even though we've been running V8 for how many years now? 2, 3. I have issues still with magic. And so I'm been trying to do a couple of different healer builds, because healer's different now than it used to be, with the games being 15 minutes long, unlimited lives. It's not how it used to be, where you had your 4 lives and you'd have your 8 resurrects and you were necessary to stay alive. Now you die, you go back to base, within 30 seconds you're back, or as soon as you get to base and you get back, you're alive. So you have to play healer differently, whether you're doing a necro build, or what I actually most recently tried and that worked out pretty well is a crowd control. Nice. So I've got my shield, I got my sword or flail, and I have 4 entangle bolts, 4 ice balls, and two other, I can't remember off the top of my head, the green ones. And that build worked really, really, really well in controlling things, and then of course doing some healing. But it's different. So that's what I'm kind of focusing on next, is when I'm not shooting people, I'm trying to force myself to play a melee class and going out with, sword and board and some spell balls.
Yeah, fantastic. Awesome. So healer, there you go. Zana asked in the chat, so we did get a chat question. I know we talked about that. Let's give a shout out to the person that made your Paragon sash for Archer.
Actually, I'm not sure who made it. No one ever told me. I'm assuming it was, I'm assuming it was Sarai, but I'm not sure if she commissioned it or not.
All right. Well,
so if someone wants to mention on the who did it.
Yeah, chat. Let's get the name out there. Sarai, if you happen to be listening, we know you are. Who got that for him? All right, we'll move on. What do you wish that you would have known about your journey in Paragon before Paragon?
Probably would be knowing the upcoming class levels. That's a big one, because when you level, if you're not ready for what you can do the next level, it's a hindrance. And so I think actually knowing, like, if at first level, knowing hands down what every single level does, I think that's a really big thing that I probably would have liked to have known beforehand.
Okay. All right. Good knowledge to have for people who are aspiring for such things. Just, be aware. This has to do with Paragon, but not with the Archer. Stillhelt asks, what do you suggest to someone who wants to Paragon monster?
That's a great one, because like I said, I love playing monster. I especially love playing goblin. Find 1 or 2 monsters that you really want to play, and go all out with those personas, if you want, or those monster classes. Right. My big one is goblin. I go out as goblin, and I make a complete ridiculous fool out of myself, but I love it. And I remember specifically going to Arizona, and I think we were playing in Tucson, because it was a Sunday, and they had a very small little kind of salt box type game where you had to get through this thing, and there's 3 of you. And I played goblin, and I was using my silly voice, and I had my full, goblin outfit on. And everyone was just like blown away that somebody was full on role playing. So I think if you want to, really go for your Paragon monster, come up with a couple of good characters that you want to do. If you want to do a dark mage, this, then do that. If you want to be a cat person, be a freaking cat person, wear your tail, do your, in the battle games. Make it to where people, when they think cat person, they think you. Because that's what I want. When people think goblin, I want them to think of me.
Yeah, no, Goblin's a lot of fun to play. I know that Screaming Avenging My Brothers is it's just the best. Huge fan. Huge fan.
I just found out that it was MacGyver that made the sash.
Oh, fantastic. So
thank you, MacGyver. I appreciate it. I didn't know it was you.
Shout outs have been had. What a team effort we just had on Kingdom of Kodiak. Just the populace coming together to get that answer for us. Thank you, guys. So with that said, that's the Paragon questions. We're gonna skip right into Archer at this point.
Okay.
And you've kind of addressed this already. Monster is your favorite class to play. So is Archer your favorite class? The answer would be no. I mean, I hate to steal your
I really love the specialty arrows that you get, things along those lines. But I just like shooting people. I'm old, I'm fat, I've got 2 hip replacements on my left hip. It's just one of those kind of situations. So when I play a monster class, it's going to be one that gets to use a bow. And that's one of the things, is I combined it with just being able to be completely silly and, do the goblin.
Yeah. So again, Goblin's a lot of fun. Stillhelt asks, did you do archery before you started playing Alucard?
I did not.
So the skill,
I shot a bow before ever playing Alucard.
Wow. So all of the skill that you've developed in this period of time is all Alucard based, and there's no background in it outside of that.
Yep.
Wow. That's for people that want a goal line for combat and now archery. You don't have to have ever done it before to have an opportunity to be good at it.
Yeah, seriously. If you've never picked up a bow before in your life, you can come out and honestly, within weeks, start becoming proficient at it.
So Kenjin asks, for someone that's interested in playing Archer, what would you suggest be their starter gear?
Starter gear, of course, will be a bow. You don't need anything expensive. The bow that I currently used most recently before I started using a crossbow was just a $100 takedown recurve. And even before that was just another recurve that I'd gotten for, I think, like $50. Just make sure that it's no greater than the 35 pounds at a 28-inch draw. So a good starter one, honestly, is about 30, a 30-pounder. You can find those almost anywhere. Not too expensive. And so you just get yourself a bow, get yourself some arrows. That's going to be the most expensive part, are the arrows. You're going to spend more on arrows than you are on your bow. Even if you make them yourself, they're still going to be costly unless you can get those shafts really cheap, or you can learn to fletch your own. So some arrows, there's a lot of really good vendors online for them, unless you want to make your own. I use a side quiver. I actually have a kit that Sir Fitz made for me, and it straps on. I got a sword, and I've got my arrows back here, and I just have never gotten accustomed to the grabbing the arrow by the head, turning it around, then knocking it and pulling it back. So I have them in a side quiver. I kind of grab it, I toss it in the air, I grab it, knock it, and I'm good to go.
Nice. You did mention something that I think we should get out there. You're talking about using a crossbow right now.
Yes.
So do you?
Yeah.
Can you?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you if you could compare and contrast the two styles of.
So crossbow, I got one. It's a Daisy. I think it ran me just at about $100, so not very expensive. I think you can get it on Amazon in the 40s to 50s. So way cheaper than actually going to an archery shop and paying twice what you can get it for, from the source. But it's slower. I can fire my bow probably 2 arrows for every 1 bolt. So I shoot, And the time it takes for me to cock, load up another one and shoot, I normally could fire an arrow, knock another one, fire an arrow before I'm ready to start up again. So archery with the bow is going to be faster. Your range is going to be typically further because a 28-inch bow, 35 pounds, you do the math on that. You've got 900 foot-pounds of pressure technically. With the crossbow, crossbows are maxed out at less than what a half draw would be with a bow. So your distance with a crossbow is going to be less. It's not half because normally the bolts weigh less, they're shorter, so you have all this stuff that goes on with it.
Right.
But the crossbows are way more accurate when people are within about 50 feet of you. You're standing there, you got your shield, you got your sword. With my bow, I could probably hit your sword. With my crossbow, I know I can hit your sword. Wow. So it's nice because you can have it cocked and you're just sitting there ready and you're just holding it and you're holding it. You're with a bow and you're sitting there, you're waiting and you're waiting. After a while, you start shaking, you get tired. Yeah. But with the crossbow, you're just sitting there holding it. With the crossbow, I can stand in the middle of a battle game. With the crossbow, my left hand is short sword in my right hand and occupy space and keep people away from both angles. As to where with the bow, you really can't do that because you have your one shot, you're done.
Right. All right. Yeah, I was wondering if the going to the crossbow had anything to do with the hold of a draw being fatigue on your shoulder, or if you just thought it was aesthetically cooler.
Aesthetically, it's cooler because you don't see a lot of them. But I've got a torn tendon in my shoulder, and so the holding back of a bow actually really, really hurts right now. Cocking's a little discomfort, and then just holding it, I can hold this forever, like I said, or I can switch hands and just point blank and shoot somebody. It's really convenient, but like I said, it is slower. I think when you play an archer, you have to have really good battlefield awareness. You have to know who's coming at you from the right, who's coming at you from the left, who's behind you, things like that. When you're using a crossbow, you have to know it even more because you've got to know if you're going to have enough time, if you miss that shot, to reload or to backpedal or to draw a weapon or whatever your backup is going to be.
Right, that makes sense. Zana asks, do you think that people should start with crossbows?
That's a good question because it is easier because anybody with a crossbow is going to be able to shoot and hit. Like I said, the battlefield awareness is what comes in that you need to know. You can be really good and just sit there and shooting people, but if you're not going to be aware that someone's coming at you or anything like that, it's not going to matter that much. But the same is going to go with a bow. A bow is harder to use. I'm not sure if doing crossbow first will be like a crutch once you want to use a bow because your trajectory is different.
Right.
With my crossbow, I know it's going to drop differently than if I'm shooting my regular bow. So you might start off with a crutch if you're going to start off with a crossbow. But if you never plan on going to a bow, crossbows are crazy fun.
Right. I've shot both before Alucard, and I would say that if you ever think you're going to use a real bow, use that first to get the arm strength. Because if you start with a crossbow, then you've got to build the arm strength while you're shooting the bow, and you're going to see this drastic fall in accuracy, fatigue, and stuff. Like you're just not going to be as effective as you would be if you did it vice versa. My opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and it's true. It's very true.
Cool. All right. So Kenjin wants to know: is there any drills that you do to practice archery?
I used to, go out and, set up a shield and then just shoot it and shoot it and shoot it and shoot it just to get going. But like I said, one of the biggest things would be is just when you're at the park, every battle game you can shoot people. Shooting people is a lot better than shooting a tree or something for practice, because it's going to tear down your arrows a lot more if you're going to be shooting at a hard object like a tree. People, they're squishy. You're not going to mess up your arrows as much. When I first got my crossbow in my house, I put a blanket across a doorway and I just put like an X of tape on it. And I just shot it because it absorbed really well in an Alucard arrow. And I did that for probably the week leading up to Alucard, just to kind of get used to the different styles, whether I wanted to shoot it left-handed real quick or just aim. And so just practicing, just, you know, I've been playing so long that there's just different things you can do. You can even practice if you want with a bow. Imagine that you lost your right arm, because it's going to happen in a battle game. And imagine you getting your bow and cocking it, you know, putting your arrow in, and then using your feet to shoot with. That's another big one. Never use your teeth. You see people and they draw an arrow and they shoot it with their teeth. Don't do that. I did it once. It hurts like you cannot imagine on your teeth. You don't understand why it would, but it does. So never shoot with your teeth if you're losing an arm.
There you go. So there's a safety tip right there too. Outside of some good knowledge about how to learn that, I really like the idea of putting a sheet in a doorway.
Yeah.
5 X's. Yep. 5 X's on it and just start calling your shot and whatnot. Super good idea. So Randall wants to know, what's the trick to shooting bad guys?
Everyone's a bad guy when you're shooting people. So it's just knowing where they're at, knowing where they're going to be. One of the things that I really like about V8 is you can bounce arrows into people.
Yeah.
That's a game changer. And I've seen it with assassins using it with small throwies, bouncing them underneath shields to hit people. Mm-hmm. That's one of my go-tos now is if someone's got a shield and I don't think I can be able to get them, I'm going to bounce that arrow into them. So just kind of knowing what your bad guys are going to be doing, whether they're going to rush you, whether they're going to, you know, backpedal, right. Things like that. Know your enemy.
Yeah, I don't know if he was like looking for like lead them if they're running or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, everyone's a bad guy. Just, you know, I don't want to make movie references that would be problematic, so we won't do that. So Deverick from Iron Mountains wants to know, are archers better against magic or melee classes?
Probably magic, because unless the magic user's got a projectile on, they might have a weapon that they can block with, but for the most part, they're squishy. Depends on the melee. I've met some monks that they've got a single short sword and I cannot hit them for the life of me. And I've seen some that are going out Florentine or with a staff, and I can just shoot them all day. So it depends on the individual, but most melee classes, if they're going to have any sort of armor, if they're going to have a shield, they're much more problematic for a bow user than a magic caster is.
I keep referencing Dom every time I talk about Monk, because he's the one I've seen play the most of it. And I mean, he's literally plucked arrows out of the air. So, I mean, yeah, it's problematic. I don't envy archers when it comes to trying to shoot him.
So you bounce him in.
Yeah, right. Deverick also asks, do you use sniper often, and when should you use it?
I've only ever used sniper once in the entire time I've been doing it with the V8, and that was at Rakis in a castle while on a turret, because you just don't have time to sit there and charge him every time. But in a turret, if you've ever, this person's from the Iron Mountains, so Iron Mountains Castle, you're up there on one of the turrets, you got the 2 archers up there. Yeah, absolutely, it was amazing. But other than that, not in a regular battle game. They're too fast paced.
So castle game turret style is the best place. All right. Well, Deverick is also from Dragon's Spine originally, but he's in Iron Mountains now, and I can give him grief for that. So, so he also wants to know. I think he's thinking about playing Archer. Nick, we'll have to talk about this later, but How fast can you say the reloading can?
I've never used it. I've never used the reloading can. Because when I started playing, like I said, I played Scout. You didn't have that. You learn to fight and shoot and pick up as you go. So I've never learned it to stop what I'm doing and then go and get my arrows and then come back. The way I play is I just kind of move around and I shoot, and I just kind of go to where my arrows went a lot of the time, so that I'm constantly refilling my quiver as I go.
Wow, I like that. That's really good. I wouldn't have expected that, just because like Archer, like having opportunity to have reload as an option seems like it would be really beneficial. But if you're tactical about it and you're moving with your shots, by the time you get here, these shots are over here, and vice versa. So, wow, that's cool. So never used it, and then only used sniper once in the entirety of playing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's super awesome. I love that. What is your current loadout for Archer?
I got pretty minimal, honestly. I've got a short sword on me. I've got about a dozen arrows or crossbow bolts now. I've got my crossbow. I do max poison arrows that I can get. Of course, a destruction arrow, phase arrow is so good, especially when you've got monks, you've got anyone with like lycanthropy, anything along those lines, and they're just you get one person with iron skin on them, and I cannot shoot them enough times for them to die before they keep mending it.
Yeah.
But with one phase arrow, that solves the problem. So if you can have a phase arrow, absolutely every single time, take it and save it.
I like that. Zachary from Dragonspine Las Cruces asks if you've ever heard of the instant Legolos.
No.
Okay, no.
What?
I don't know. I've never heard of it either. And Zachary he's a special friend of ours. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll explain it. But yeah, no, he has never heard of it, Zachary. Moving on. To know. Yeah. Let's see if we can get Jeff to put that in the chat so we can figure it out. I don't know if this question even makes sense now that you've said you've used sniper once and you don't use reload, but what abilities for Archer do you think are underpowered and overpowered?
I would say sniper's underpowered because it's not something you can use in a regular battle game. It's just not something. If they changed it to where maybe you only had to let's say how can I phrase it? Just say it once of the at a bottle of House to Rest. That would make it a little bit more convenient and easier, but it might make it too overpowered at that point. Honestly, I think that Archer currently is not underpowered. A lot of it depends on the bow user itself.
Sure.
And so that would be it, honestly. It reminds me of this one time where we had a battle game going on in PV, and I was going to go out with bow, and they told me I wasn't allowed to because I was changing the game too much.
Oh.
And let me tell you how bad that made me, because it would be the same thing as if you were telling one of the wizards, like, well, you can't play wizard in this game because you keep overbalancing the game.
Right.
And I was angry about it. I was upset about it. I was kind of proud of it as well. Mm-hmm. But the thing is it wasn't the class. It's the individual, So it's one of those things where almost any class can kind of be too overpowered or too underpowered. It just depends on who's playing it. Like if you throw me in as a wizard, I can be 6th level and I'm going to be one of the worst wizards out there. So it's not, you can't be with someone else, you know. But with Archer, I mean, yeah, with Archer, I think honestly, it's got its really good points with the different arrows and things like that. And you know, the weapons that you can carry and things along those lines. So I think it's a very solid class, you know.
Okay, that, you know what, and that makes a lot of sense. It's a skill-based class because you got to have proficiency using a bow, and like you said, you could be a 6th level wizard right now and you wouldn't be a very good wizard, but someone could be a 6th level archer and never have picked up a bow, because you can play a Florentine archer for the sake of just leveling the class. So, but awesome. I like the answer. Fantastic. But underpowered sniper, which we should get out there. Was Archer part of your idea for your persona when you started? Now, the answer is probably no. But when you looked at Alucard Draconis, was there ever a ranged persona part to him?
There was, like I said, I started off playing, you know, healer when I first started playing Alucard. When I got my first bow, and I can't even remember what year it was, but I kind of created like this dog soldier persona. And so going with the fact that I'm Hispanic, so when my hair's long, I look native. When my hair's short, I look Mexican. With long hair, you know, some beads thrown in there. This is back when I was in Locahana. I had this dog soldier persona, so it was like a Native American kind of, you know, persona that would definitely use the bow until I ran out, and then would stake myself to the ground with the rope tied off, and then would go melee. So yeah, there was kind of at one point using a bow was very significant in the persona of that one.
Awesome. And that's more backstory for you guys, for the people who are looking for expanded role play and stuff like that for some of our nights. Like that, there is a paragraph worth of information right there. It's super good. Big fan. All right. We're through Paragon. We're through Archer. Now we're getting to Kodiak's favorite topic. We're going to talk about some knighthood stuff. All right.
Okay.
So, how did you end up joining the belt line that you were in?
So, many years ago, early 2000s, might have even been 2000. I was living in Dragonspine proper. That's where I called home up until about 2005 or so, roughly. 2004, I think. My belt line starts with Surahira, who is the most recent, not the current, but the most recent monarch of Burning Lands. Surahira is my grandfather knight. He had squired, and he's a crown knight as well. He had squired Sir Nikos Wezendrake, who is also a crown knight. Nikos asked me if I wanted to be his squire. And this was shortly, not only to say shortly, but this was definitely before I was ever monarch of Dragonspine. So my line's kind of always been, it appears, very crown line oriented.
Okay. Is that something that you continue with your beltlings, or is that?
Not really, because I consider my beltlings a little bit differently. I've had several squires, a couple that that don't play anymore at all whatsoever. And then I have currently 3 active. One is Bill the Nun, who lives in Westmarch. Okay. She is probably my oldest squire that I have currently. She's very self-sufficient. She has been monarch. She was the first queen of Westmarch, if I'm not mistaken. She is phenomenal. And like I said, she's very self-sufficient. Man, just, let her go. Occasionally she asks me some questions. Then I have Fun Size. And Fun Size, she's squired to me. She's never going to hold an office. She is probably one of the best wizards I know. And my relationship with her is more family oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got Sarai. And Sarai's here in PV as well. And she has most recently been the Duchess of Pegasus Valley. She stepped down in February. So she's very much following in the footsteps. Actually, she just got her Squire's belt at Coronation. She moved up from Page to Squire. So that's kind of what I look for, are individuals who are wanting to either be family or who want to pursue the Crown Knight path and want information and knowledge and assistance in holding offices, because sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not.
Right. That's awesome. So do you make solid lines in the sand about what position someone comes into when you belt them? So
No.
would someone come in as no? Okay. All right. We
No,
had
but-
talked to I'll say we talked to Dame Annabelle last month, and she had mentioned that like she defines what these roles are. So depending on what you're doing in the game and how you want to do it is what belt you're acquiring from her up until Squire.
Oh, okay.
So
not really. Like I said, I've got kind of the two different paths, and I've got the people who are going to be family who I just feel real comfortable with. And I've got kind of, like I said, that group, and actually it's a group of one because it's Fun Size. And then, like I said, I've got Sarai and I've got Bill. And if someone was to approach me and they're like, well, I want to be your Squire, I'd ask them, why do you want to be my Squire? And if they tell me, well, because I want to pursue, the Crown Knight path, that would definitely be a plus. Now, if they're like, well, I really like you, and I think having you as my knight would be cool, and it would help me get my serpent belt, I would really be like, not really. I'm not gonna be able to help you in any sort of capacity to get progress in any of the other belt lines or knighthoods, because that's what I am. I mean, I've got quite a few roses, but I don't consider myself to be a flame knight, because I find myself to be a little bit too selfish to be out there putting it on the line like so many of our flame knights do. Okay,
I would, up until the last sentence, I was going to argue pretty hard against that. You are definitely someone who I would see as a flame knight at some point. Your selfishness is never has come before the kingdom. I don't know if you don't know that or not, but I'm here to break that news for you. Anyone who needs a point of reference, go to the Midrain feast. Very well put together, handled greatly, and you were being awarded at that point too. So like you were putting on so many different hats all at once, and there was no pissing or moaning or anything like that. You did it. You did it well.
That all happens in the kitchen. You guys aren't allowed to see that. If you ever worked in a kitchen, you got front of the house and you got back of the house.
Oh, I've worked in the kitchen. I know the back of the house. Whew, man. Okay, fair. All right, maybe. I bet you if we ask for some bears in the chat, if we think that Sir Alucard is a Flame Knight potential, we'll see some bears show up. But that's fine. We can move on. So we talked about your belt line. We talked about your positions in the belt line. We talked about which one was easier to attain, knighthood or paragon. So we're moving down the line as far as these go. Zana asks a question that I've put in the knighthood category because this is one of the things I think is really important for our permanent officers. Whether you want to take that term in or not, it's kind of what it is. How do you keep AmpGuard awesome and fun for you and the people around you?
The easy answer is saying it's just a game, but those of us who have put the time in know it's not.
Sure.
So you have to honestly know when to take breaks. I've not held office for a good, I want to say it's been a couple of years now. And that's a long time for me because of burnout, you know, of wanting to give other people the opportunity, things along those lines. So when I stop having fun, I try to step back some. So if I'm in the middle of a battle game and I start getting really, really angry because either someone's sloughing or something, I don't say I always do, but I try to pull myself from that situation to not bring other people down. I'm not going to say I always do it because, you know, obviously I know that I haven't.
Right.
But that's one of the things is you need to know when you need to step back, whether it's you finish your reign, you step out of office for 6 months, you know, you reevaluate yourself, you try to come up with new and better ideas for a reign, so that it's awesome and you have lots of fun with other individuals, or at least everyone else can be having fun. Sarai actually just did that because she had messed up her knee during her reign, and half her reign she wasn't able to go out in the field and participate and have fun. So what she did was from the sidelines, she worked really, really hard and diligently to make sure that everyone else had fun. So that's kind of one of the things that you have to do. If you're not, you have to put other people first. That's just one of the things. And even if it's a permanent office, like you said, whether it's holding yourself to a higher standard or things along those lines, you've got to think if someone's their first or second week out or they're visiting from somewhere else and they're like, that's a night. We don't have nights in the park that we're from. You've got to be there for them. I guess it's almost like how I'd imagine some movie stars have to be. You can't just be like, I'm busy right now, I can't talk to you.
Right.
You know, you have to put your best face forward because that's going to be what they remember of you. They're not, you know, you don't want them to be like, oh, that was a night, that guy's a jerk. And then they're going to have that point of view for all nights.
There was an AmpGuard University video put out, and I would highly suggest anyone who hasn't watched all of those to go watch them right after Kingdom of Kodiak, because those are amazing. But one of the quotes from a night in that was, act as if you are going to be someone's first night. Because you are obviously representing the game when you're on the field, when you're off the field, but when you're there. And that might be the first night that someone has ever met. And would you want to scare someone away week one with a bad attitude as a knight? You know? So, all right. More complicated question from Zana at this point. Making AmpGuard fun seems like a pretty straightforward, but what do you think about the new crown order system? You're a current crown knight. That took place before this happened. What do you think?
I think that it's a great idea. It's fantastic. Big reason because since we have been static for so long that a lot of people, they would not be able to get qualified unless they lived in Las Cruces and they held office in Las Cruces. It's really, really difficult. Glenolf is in my brain, and I'm sure there's someone with pieces of paper looking on the computer that knows more than I do, but in my memory, Glenolf is the only other crown knight that we've had that didn't come from holding offices in Dragonspine. And I think the idea of being able to, actually Royce as well, but he was able to be king. So right. I think the fact that having Orders of the Crown And the fact that, they went back so many years and they awarded them at mid-reign, they awarded some out to some individuals that haven't been in office in like 6 to 8 years.
Mhm.
And I think that's fantastic that you're able to go back, catch people up, and then every good deed that they do can go towards this. I think it was a really, really brilliant idea, and I really, really like it.
It's good. Yeah, no, it was exciting when it got put in place because it was how much work is going to have to be put in to catch people up because the count points and the convergence scale that they put out from the COM meeting, it was really exciting. And I agree. It's a lot better to have the ladder be set with the actual orders than it was the idea of these points being awarded.
Yeah.
I think.
And a big shout out to Cleo, because Cleo, at least here in PV, Cleo is the one that went through and all the records, and then she talked to individuals from those reigns to put that work in. So big shout out to her for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So Zana got a lot of questions in this week. What's the best part of being king of Dragonspine? I guess it helps me out because next week, this Saturday, here I go.
Honestly, to me, the best part. All right. So let me do a little bit of backstory.
Okay.
I played Alucard for a lot of years. I played off of other people's work, other people's efforts. All these other individuals being Monarch, being Regent, being Champion. I would just show up on a Saturday and play and take the benefit of their work. And it got to a point where I felt guilty about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt that I owed the park to do the jobs so that other people can enjoy themselves and to let these other individuals who have been in office a chance to rest. And so I was Champion, and then I was Monarch. And so the opportunity to be able to assist the park in that aspect was a big thing.
Right.
Giving other individuals an opportunity to still have fun being Monarch, because one of the greatest things about being Monarch is being able to recognize individuals, and that's one of the things that you'll be able to figure out. When I was in, especially even just like up here to PV, so I was able to award people in other lands recognition that I felt that they had missed, and just being able to recognize people. I went to Alaska and I knighted Goldcrest. That was a huge thing.
Right.
He had no clue it was coming. Yeah, no, he had no clue it was coming, and it was phenomenal. Just being able to recognize people. I made Randall cry because I gave him the award of the Order of the Steadfast, because he had just been doing so good. And I want to say it was a combination of that, and Amy told me that even when they got married, he didn't cry. And that made me super happy to be able to recognize people, because a lot of people, you've got Randall, he's got his belts, he's got all these things, but still to be able to recognize him for these other things, like I said, the Steadfast was an order I made up, and it was just because the fact that he was still there. He was the one week in, week out there, doing stuff. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed the most, and I think that you will, is being able to recognize individuals. It's nice that you can go ahead and say, hey, you should, look at so-and-so because they're really cool and they've been doing a lot of work at the park. You should, look at Dom, let's just say Dom, I don't know if he's a master monk, but, that's something you might think about. being able to be the one to give out that award and recognize individuals, it's just absolutely phenomenal.
For anyone who's got a chance to see Sir Randall's posts from this last week, one of my biggest honors so far was able to give him his 21st Hydra. And that was a big deal. To have this guy's been playing for so long and be part of that. His Hydras are drinking age. That's how many of those he has. That's amazing. So it was, I agree wholeheartedly. I will have a blast doing it. I'm on the Orc almost every day, and I talk Alucard almost every day. So finding awards is going to be a lot of fun, giving recognition. I can't wait. That's going to be a blast. And I keep making it about me, but that question I feel like that's a Kodiak-centric question at this point. The follow-up to all of that is, would you do it again?
Yes. I don't even have to think hard on that one. It's definitely a yes.
That's
it might have been me going with you, because I was really thinking really hard about running for this upcoming reign as Monarch of Dragonspine. So it's definitely something that if I can get my ducks in a row, or at least try to.
Yeah, it's good that you didn't, because I didn't need someone from Pegasus Valley beating me out again. You know, not saying nothing, but Balder, you know who you are. Are you?
Speaking of Balder, just to let people know, he and I played.
Hold on. I think we lost you. You want to say that one more time, please?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. I didn't hear what you said, though. Could you?
So just because I've had confusion, I've had people ask, speaking of Balder, he and I are not related. A lot of people think that he's my son because we have last name, we look a lot alike, we have kind of similar tattoos in similar places. He's not related to me, just to let you know.
Okay. All right. It's cleared up. It's finalized. All right. So we talked about the other belt lines when it comes to you. I mean, the chat has agreed you are definitely Flame Knight material, whether you believe it or not. I think I saw a serpent in the chat too. I think Zana put a serpent up. Are you interested or currently pursuing any of the other knighthoods?
Not really. You get a lot of things like the roses and the flame stuff when you're in office and you're Monarch. You should be there. You don't have to, but you should if you can. So that's kind of how that's happened. I do a lot of ANS type stuff, but I'm nowhere close to being a master in any of it. I do like to teach what I know. I mean, I taught a couple classes at Clan, Viking knit weaving and kumihimo, Japanese braiding, just because they're real simple and there's stuff that I think most anyone would be able to do that. So I like to kind of teach and stuff like that. It goes with being a knight, you know. In my opinion, if that's one of the big differences between being a knight and being a master, is if you don't teach, you're not going to be a knight, in my opinion. Okay. Because you need to be able to do those things. But I don't think any of my stuff is anywhere close to master quality in arts and sciences, you know. I just don't. I look at the stuff that gets put out there, especially recently with which I love the fact that there's been so much more arts and science out there. Mm-hmm. You know, Squire Lady MacGyver, her stuff is phenomenal. I could never hold up anything to what she makes. You know, I just wouldn't be able to. So, I mean, I didn't pursue a crown belt either. I held office. I held office. I moved up here. I held office. I didn't do it for the belt. If you are hunting for a belt, you're not doing it right. You should be doing the things that you do, and then if you get awarded, then you get awarded. And so asking me if I'm pursuing another belt, no. If I overexplained that, I'm sorry.
No, it's just that's one of those stances that I don't hear a lot. And I don't know if I back it or not, but if you're pursuing it, you're not doing it right. That's why my eyes got big and I pointed, because I just want people to see the different opinions that knights can have about this when it comes to this thing. If you're pursuing
it also
it,
depends on the belt. It depends on the belt though too.
Sure. Okay.
It depends on the belt, because I'm not going to look down at someone if they're pursuing a serpent belt, because that's work. I'm not going to look down at a person who's pursuing a sword belt, because that's work. You actively have to try to get those. So let me limit it to flame and crown.
Okay.
That if you are pursuing either of those belts and you're doing the work just for a belt, you're doing it wrong. I have to split that up, because a serpent belt is very much like going for a sword belt. They're the most similar in that aspect. And I think crown and flame are very similar in that other aspect, because you're volunteering your time and your effort. And so it's a little bit different. But yeah, so when it comes to a flame or a crown belt, if you are actively, in my opinion, if you are only volunteering and you're only running for office and you're only doing these things to get a belt, you're doing it wrong.
Okay. Thank you for clearing it up. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but again, the only other time that I've heard that sentiment being put forth was in Alucard University videos. Every other night I've talked to, that doesn't tend to come up as a point, whether they believe it or not. So it's just interesting to hear it. Hopefully over chats, I'll get some more of that opinion and get some more of the in-depth conversation that like you gave just now. I want to sidetrack a little bit here for two things. You say you're not Serpent Knight material. So you're good?
I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
No. Yeah, the thumbs up was good to go with the sidetrack.
Oh, okay. Sorry. If you were going to become an apprentice to a art, what would it be? If you were like, I want to get better at this specific art and or science, what would that be?
It would probably be armor making, and I would go straight to Sir Stefan.
Okay. That's anyone who wants to reach out, let him know that there's a possible scenario there for him. We do have connections. We can make that happen. Secondly, I do want to get again, our chat did some diligent work here. The Instant Legolos is a reloader for bow, so you now know what an Instant Legolos is.
I think I'm still gonna have to Google that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I had 4 or 5 people mention it in the chat, and I'm still like, yeah, okay. Is it like the bows from Robin Hood Men in Tights where he drops down and there's like 5 arrows connected? It
makes me think it might be that. I was thinking it might have been like one of those Chinese crossbows that you can load the arrows from the top and you just cock it and shoot it and cock it and shoot it, which would never work for an Alucard arrow because of the heads.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, the knowledge is there now. We know what it is. Last question about knighthood. I kind of prefaced this to you beforehand just because it's an interesting question. And it has to do with the activity of the Circle of Knights in Dragonspine. Um, I'm let's just. What are your thoughts on that? Is Dragonspine, are Dragonspine's knights as active as they need to be in the Circle of Knights? Um, is there a good rapport? Give us give us something. Don't give us too much behind the curtain, but some thoughts.
Uh, Between all the Circle of Knights and Dragonspine.
Yeah.
I think my cat just knocked something off. I think that we have a great rapport. There is, I have to say, like, no animosity. There's not bickering and arguing and power games of trying to sway decisions or sway your feelings about individuals, or even just thoughts of knighthood. So I'd have to say the rapport is great. And what was the first part again? You said about
are they as active as you would think they would have to be? I mean, that's kind of an abstract question because
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say we're as active as we need to be. Could we be more active? Maybe, but then you risk there being, like I was saying earlier, like a play for trying to persuade and things like that. So I think the way the circle works right now is really good. It's very chill. It is very chill. Every year we have a Circle of Knights meeting at Clan, which is going to be sad missing it this year, because we have outside knights that come and join us. We've had people from the IM or people from the CK join our night circle, and they walk away like, wow, that was the most chill Knights meeting I've ever been to in my life. And it's because we're not trying to be like, here, you need to knight this person. You have to get my squire knighted because, they're the best person ever. It's not like that. And I won't go past that because, like I said, I want to keep it, behind the curtain for you. But it is just, it's very mellow. And it's, you walk away from the meeting with a good feeling, because it does illuminate you to other ideas and things like that. So it's very neat. And when things get brought up, and I feel that everyone who's in it, who's active, they participate, and I just think that it just works well. So
awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for the slight peek. Now, again, if you guys don't know about me specifically, I value the idea of the knighthood. I think it's a great topic to talk about. I also don't want to know all of the stuff that these people that are in high office, permanent office, white belts, pillars of our game have to say when I myself am just a scrub playing the game. That's not fair. I feel like if you want it, you got to earn it, and then you get to know that information. That's why I don't want the curtain pulled back for anyone who is interested in knowing that. All right. So we have finished the night questions. Only leads us with the goofy questions left. These are questions, for some reason, that always get asked every week, and they're never the same. So we'll get through these four, and then we'll wrap up here. Zana wants to ask, what's the trick to taking a great selfie?
You take a lot of them, and then you pick the one that looks the best.
So it's quality to create quantity, or quantity to create quality.
Yeah. Honestly, when I want to have a good selfie, I look to see what Randall just did, and then I put that into perspective, and then try to use that.
Yeah.
Also, there's a really, really great group, the Selfie Squad. For those of you that aren't aware of it, look it up. It is one of the absolute best things if you want to talk about selfies. Are you a member of the Selfie Squad?
I am not. Selfies are not my move.
Okay. So the Selfie Squad, I'm just going to throw big props to them because, as I was telling you earlier, I suffer from depression. All of this going on with the COVID-19 is hitting me really hard because I still have to go to work every day, like a lot of us do. And the lack of interaction with people. You can tell I'm a talker. I'm an extrovert. This is really tough.
Yeah.
I have really bad days. I go to Selfie Squad. I post a picture of me, whether I'm smiling, whether I'm frowning, whatever. And it is such a source of goodness out there to go against all the negativity that's out there. It is just phenomenal. So look up the Selfie Squad because that's another great way to get good selfies because it's a really good resource.
All right. Well, I'll do that. Again, I'm not a selfie kind of person. I think I've been in maybe 4 pictures with Sir Randall, and I consider those selfies, even though he took it and he propped it and everything like that. But this is not selfie face. This is back of the kitchen
Everyone
face.
has a selfie. Everyone has a selfie face.
That's okay. That's fair. All right. What kind of cookies?
Are we talking like Girl Scout cookies? Or are we talking about just any cookie?
I've been thinking about this question myself. I feel like this question could go as long as the rest of the chat has so far. Let's talk Girl Scout first.
Girl Scout would have to be, I forget the name of them, the ones with the peanut butter.
Okay.
Those ones, when it comes to Girl Scout. They're the little coated ones, and they're just delicious. I can't remember the name of them, but they're my absolute favorite. So if you ever want to gain favor with me, you get all those boxes of those cookies with the chocolate and the peanut butter.
So it's the chocolate covered one with the soft peanut butter it's kind of soft peanut butter. Yeah. Well, okay. I think the answer is Thin Mint, but
no, Thin Mint. No, it's not a Thin Mint.
Well, no, but the correct answer, I think.
Oh, the correct answer is Thin Mint.
But to each his own.
When it comes to other cookies, it's got to be. You can get them at Smith's, and they are pumpkin chocolate chip cookies.
I can't. I would agree, except it's banana oatmeal for me is my favorite.
See,
but
my wife does not like pumpkin, and those pumpkin chocolate chip cookies changed her life.
Well, then we got to try them.
Try, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I've never had a life-changing experience through a cookie, but if it happened to someone else, it could possibly happen to me too. Let's do that. Sir Francis sends me a random message in chat or outside of chat in instant messenger because he needs to know what flavor ice cream.
Coffee.
Really? Okay. All right.
The barista for about the past 2 to 3 decades. So yeah, for me, it's coffee flavored ice cream, especially from Cold Stone. Yep.
Sounds good. All right. 2 more. These are the goofy ones. Can you provide the exact dimensions of the mental state of a turnip?
That would be 0.
0. You know what? He calculated that too, Morgan. So it's right. I saw the 0 is the right answer. All right. And Morgan, again, when I see the sea once more, will the sea have seen me or not seen me?
I'm going to say not, because at that point, all of the water and all the molecules of water have now been replaced by others. So at that point, it's somewhere on the other side of the world. So no.
Right. So, we don't know what the sea saw, Morgan. Come on.
Yeah.
Sir Alucard, thank you so much for joining me today. great chats. We haven't got to sit down and do a lot of this one-on-one in real life, so this is a lot of fun for me to do it, even if it is over video. We'll have to do that next time I can get up to PV.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me. This was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I do want to put some shout outs for what's going on with us as a kingdom and stuff, and as Kingdom of Kodiak. This weekend should be our coronation. So I believe that's going over Discord. I'll be stepping into Kingdom Monarch for the first time. So wish me luck with that. Also, with Kingdom of Kodiak, this is the last week of Paragon. Starting next week, we're going to be talking about households and companies. So if you have a household or a company that you want to talk about, or if you know a knight that represents one of those that we could get for week 4 of that, please reach out to me and let me know. That being said, again, Sir Alucard, thank you so much. I appreciate it. You are definitely Flame Knight when it comes. It will someday, my friend. And for the rest of you, I'll hope to see you next week. And thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.
Thank you.